This video is going to be about how to help your fin nipping betta fish. So firstly, for recognising fin nipping, it's going to be an odd pattern in, for example, the tail fin or whichever long flowing fins they have, and it's going to look like it has chunks taken out or even little rectangular shapes missing from your male with long fins. If it's a single clean tear in a line, it's probably not a nip, but probably an accident through netting the fish can actually tear their fins, or from them brushing up against sharp items that might be in the tank. So here are my checkpoints of things that you can do to help your betta, things that you can try if you find yourself in this situation. Number 1, add an Indian almond leaf to your tank, and the amount of leaves that you need to use depends on your tank size. It might discolour your water to a tea-like colour, but that's the beneficial part because the tannins that are released by the soaking leaf help to de-stress your betta as well as preventing infection. They can be really cheap if you just shop around for them online. I got a pack of 10 for around £3 from Pro Shrimp, and that was free delivery and arrived quickly. If your filter media contains carbon, you've got to remove it and rely on your sponge bacteria or ceramics, because carbon will absorb all the goodness from the leaf, so you won't see the discoloration if your carbon is absorbing all of that, as well as a lot of medicines are absorbed by the carbon. So when you're treating your fish for disease and you're applying the treatments into the tank water, carbon can actually reduce a lot of that. Number 2, do a water test. Make sure your parameters are all good and that you've got no ammonia lurking that could be harming your fish. Keeping the water crystal clean will do wonders, so keep up your water changes or increase them, and remove any poops when you see them in the tank. Frequent testing will help you keep on top of any changes as your betta is going through the process of healing his fins. Number 3, if infection takes hold, you will see a tiny amount of red or black colour at the site of the nipping. Immediately treat that with a fin rot treatment or an all-round disease clear, including cover for fungus. Always go by your manufacturer's instructions on these treatments, and the super expensive ones are not always any different to the basic ones, so it doesn't have to hurt your pocket. Number 4, take any sharp decorations out of the tank because you don't want to add to the problem with an accidental tear, and you want to eliminate that as a cause as well. Try to replace any plastic plants with betta-safe fabric ones, or of course live plants if you can. Plant pots can also be risky for fin damage. Number 5. Are there any other fish in your aquarium that could be nipping at your betta's fins? These include species of tetra, such as neon tetras. Some people keep them with bettas and never have a problem, but it's really worth looking into separating them if you are seeing nipped fins. If you can't set up an additional tank, stick in a divider while your betta heals. Number 6. Are there any hidey holes that your betta has in your tank? Any small spaces that he curls up in, or spaces where he has to turn around on himself to exit the space? This could be something like a coconut hut or a betta log pushed up against a surface in the tank. This type of hide can be great fun, like for a happy betta, but if you have a fin nipper, it's best to remove these, and the reason for that is if a betta is in a darkened area and his fins are long and they flow in front of his face, he will bite them instinctively, because to him this looks like another fish getting too close for comfort. And that's also why we see it a lot in transit, when they're coming to their new homes in quite small bags in darkness, and then your fish arrives to you and all of a sudden it's got nipped fins. I've also read horror stories about bettas developing almost obsessive behaviour, where every night they go into one of these little hides and bite themselves, leaving the owner to discover little bits of fin every morning. But it's worth mentioning that they may also eat the pieces, so you might never see that. Number 7. Do you keep bettas in tanks next door to each other, or are your tank walls reflective when they're in certain lights? Seeing another betta or seeing a reflection of himself can make your betta nip in frustration that he can't get to the other fish. So try sticking a nice aquarium backing photo on the tank walls, or like I've done, arrange your decor such as plants along the walls so that the appearance of an intruder betta is blocked. Number 8. Do you have strong lighting in your tank or no lighting at all? Getting the lighting right will help keep your betta stress-free. They can become stressed and confused if the tank is always dark, or worse, if it is heavily lit. A simple solution is to get some black electrical tape and apply it to part of your lights. For example, try half of your LEDs being covered. I don't know if this is safe to do with UV bulbs, so in that case you might need to look into purchasing a smaller bulb or creating shade with a lot of surface plants. Number 9, keeping your daylight hours to a routine. This sounds silly, but your fish will respond better to structure with their lighting. So say you've gone over to a friend's house for the night and you don't come back till the next afternoon. Your betta, who is sitting at home in the dark, could be stressed enough to nip. I'll make sure this doesn't happen to me by using a plug socket timer for my lighting plug, and you can pick that up from shops that would sell extension cords, that type of thing. I found one in my local corner shop for a couple of pounds. Otherwise, you can ask someone else at home if they can do your lights on and off for you while you're away. Number 10. Is your filter suitable for a betta? It should be a quiet and gentle, slow flow filter. If it's cheaply made or if it's really strong, it could be pushing your fish around the tank or vibrating and buzzing, which in itself can stress them out. Number 11. Could your betta be bored? A lack of stimulation can cause something called stereotypical behaviour, which can include things like repetitive pacing or self-mutilating, which is a bit like when we see feather plucking in pet birds, and also fin nipping in bettas. To remedy this, you can put your betta's tank in a busy area of the house. They honestly like seeing what's going on. You could also add some interesting items such as safe plants or toys to keep your betta's mind off of his fins. Number 12. If you suspect your betta is stressed for any reason, add an extra dose of a product like API's Stress Coat. It contains ingredients to have a calming effect on the fish and can aid recovery. Number 13. Aquarium salt is another treatment option to speed up the healing. Always dose this according to the instructions and check that any tank mates can handle the salinity increase. If you have snails, for example, they must be removed if you want to keep them. So those are my suggestions for what you can do to help your betta if you find that he's nipping. But remember, it's not the end of the world if your lovely, long-finned and probably expensive betta nips, as long as you provide a solution. The fins will regrow a lot quicker than you think. You're welcome to leave any questions in the comments and I'll try to reply as soon as I can if you need help. Thanks for watching.